Welcome back. This is Dave. My channel, Follow the Figures, and it is July 30th, 2022 at 9:48 p.m. here on the East Coast. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to put together a video that goes over a particular factor that I haven't mentioned in any of my other videos. If you have my system tutorials, whether it be the book or whether it be the PDF formats, you're not going to see this particular factor in here. And this is what I like to call my endurance factor. And I'm just going to write this here. My endurance factor, or my endurance rating. And what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit of time and show you how I come up and I calculate an endurance rating. First of all, I only like to put together an endurance rating for the horses when we're looking at these long routes, 1.375 1.5 1.25 miles. Anything less than that, I usually won't do. Okay, even 1.125 miles, I won't put together an endurance rating or endurance factor for that. Simply because it's still somewhat of a common distance. Okay, the 1.125 miles, especially on the grass. But when you get further than the 1.125 miles, you start dealing with specialty horses. Okay, you don't see a lot of sprinters. You'll see sprinters enter races at 1.16 miles, even 1.125 miles, but you won't see a lot of sprinters entering races at this type of distance, especially when you're talking, what do you call it, graded stakes. Now, there's always exceptions to the norm, okay? You could probably go back and look at some old past performances of different graded stakes, and you might see some sprinters, maybe some trainers trying to change something up with a particular horse, or maybe he liked what he saw in that horse at a mile or 1.16 miles, and says, you know what, this horse could probably take a little more distance. But for the most part, the norm is usually the routers like this, the longer routes, stick to the longer routes. And I could even be wrong, and I didn't even really look through these PPs yet to see if there were any sprinters. But when you look now, you can see that, again, not one of these horses, and there's only 6 horses in this race, at least in its last, what we can see on the page here, none of them are showing any sprint races. But what I want to do is I want to focus on the endurance factor. And the endurance factor is a tweak to the target rating, actually. So if you have a target rating, let's say of this first horse right here, and let's say we went off the final here, that would be a 25, 113 off a 108 would be 25, 26 plus another 6 is 32. So 100 minus 32, that would be a 68 target rating. Okay, and those that are looking at this and saying, well, how did he just figure that out? Check out my video titled Target and Ability, and you'll see how I'm getting at that. But here's what we're doing with the endurance rating now. We're focusing now, with this 68, we're focusing now on the halftime of the race. Okay, in this case it was a 49.3. And just like we did with the 108 for the what do you call it, the 6 furlong, we used the 108 was the standard, equal to 100. For route races, I use a 46.5 as the standard. Okay, I'll show you what I do here. Same principles for every second off of 49, or I'm sorry, off of 46 is 5 lengths or 5 points. Okay, for every fifth of a second would be 1 length or 1 point. But instead of subtracting, what I do is I add. So I go 68. This is 15. This is 18 total ticks, right? Or total lengths. We have 3 seconds off of 46, which is 49. Plus we have 3 fifths. So if you think about it, we convert that to fifths. That's 18 fifths. So 68 plus 18 is an 86. And then we see how many lengths out this horse was at the half, which is 4 lengths. And we add that, so the 86 plus 4 would be a 90 endurance rating. Okay, so the endurance rating for this horse would be a 90. And I'm going to do I'm going to do them all. That way you have an idea of how I'm getting these. So again, let's go to number 2 here. Number 2, we have a target rating. And sometimes I like to use this instead of the target rating, because here's why. When you start dealing with races at 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles, you're going to see a lot of times these 6 furlong times are a little bit slower, especially the 1.5 miles. So you got 1:14 and 3, which is a 67 right there, just alone, the 1:14 and 3. And this horse was only a half length out. So his would be a 67. And all of a sudden you come up to a horse that might be running coming out of 1.16 where the 6 furlong time was 1:10 and 4 now. And 1:10 and 4 plus 4, that would be 10, 4 is 14, 18. That would be an 82 target rating, which would projectively make this horse look better. But again, the times are a little bit quicker when it comes to 1.16 than they are when it comes to 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles. So a lot of times I'll like to rely more on this endurance number as well. And we're going to see how that compares when we get down to this horse right here. And we'll see how it compares as far as endurance goes. So we look at the second horse, and we have a target rating of 1:14.3, which is 6:33. I already said that before, right? It was a 67. Plus, we also have 3 ticks off of 46, would be a 49. So that would be 17 total fifths. 67 plus 17 is an 84. And with a 1/2, we bring that down to a 0. So this horse's endurance rating would be an 84. Now we go to the third horse, and we say, okay, 25, 26. No, did I do something here? Let me see, 33. Okay, I'm going to go back here a second. I apologize for this. This was a 33, and then off of the final would be 38. This would actually be a 62, so that would be 5 off of this. His endurance rating would only be a 79. Okay, off of his last race. So here we got 25, 26, plus 5 is 31. That's a 69 target. Again, 46. A 49.3 from a 46 is 18, so 69 plus 18, that's 87, plus 3 lengths out would be a 90. So we have, so far we have a 90, a 79, and a 90. Now here's the horse we were talking about before, whose target rating is going to be higher, 10 and 4, because of the shorter distance, faster times. 10 and 4 is 14. Right, off of 108, we have 2 seconds, would automatically be 10 lengths off, plus another 4/5 would be 14, plus 4, plus 3 actually is 17, which is an 83. But yet his endurance rating, if you notice, this is only a 47 and 1. So that's only 6 points, 7, 9, 10, which still gives him a 93. Okay, so it gives him a 93, and it puts him on top here as far as endurance off of the last race. Now, you could take this deeper, and you could, if you have all the time in the world, and you're doing this the night before, and maybe you're only doing a couple races the next day, you could do your endurance ratings for every single horse. I'm sorry, every single past race, and maybe get rid of any races that might have been on a different surface, such as synthetic here, any trouble trips over here, get rid of them races. And then maybe get the average endurance of all the past races, average them numbers out. You might have a 93, a 90, an 88, an 85, a 92. Average them out. Now I know that's a lot to do when you're dealing with when you're handicapping a full card of races, but if you're just focused on 1 or 2 races, you could do that for all of them. You could average out your target ratings, average out your ability ratings. That way you're not going simply off of the just the last race for target. You might use the last 3 races for your target and then get an average of those 3. And that your target rating. And then all the races that are left, get your ability ratings off of them races, and then average them out, and you'll have your average ability. So there's different ways you could tweak what we do here. So number 5, we're looking at a, I'm going to take this 2-mile race alpha here, simply because 1, it's 2 miles, and 2, we don't have a 6 furlong time to go by. So we'll go back here. 116 is actually 8 ticks off of 108. That's 41. That's a 59 as far as the target rating goes off of that race. And that's why, again, I don't like to use target ratings when it comes to races this long. I'll use the endurance. So I go 59. This is 4 ticks off of 4 seconds off of 46, which is already 20 I'm adding to the 59. That's a 79 plus 1 more is an 80 plus an 80, so it's an 83. Again, figures low, but still over time I've found that this is a more accurate way of measuring when it comes to this type of distance. So 25 here, 26, 31, 69, 15, 79, 84, 85, 86, 87, plus 6 is a 93. So we have a 93 endurance here on the 6. Okay, so that's our 6 horses. And our top endurance horse, and again, this is only one factor, but if you're getting a consensus from all your different factors that you're factoring in, such as your final fraction, your ability, and I would recommend that if you're using endurance ratings for this type of distance, do the same thing with your ability. So I'm going to do that with 1 horse here. I'll do it with the 1 horse. In fact, I'll do it with the horse that is projected 2-to-1 morning line, but yet, who was it? The 2 horse? 2-to-1 morning line, but it's only showing up as a 79 endurance. So if I go and I find his best ability rating, which would be a 31 right here. Okay, 114 to 1 would be 30 plus 1, and he won the race. So that'd be a 69. Ability, and then when I go and do the endurance, 69, 79, 80, 81, 82, plus 5 lengths out, that would actually be an 87 endurance there. And I may want to do that again if I have the time and I'm really serious about this particular race, and I'm not worried about playing 6, 7, 8 races tomorrow. I may just take the time and just figure out, especially when the mental math gets good enough, you could bust these out quick. So if I go 32 here, 5 is a 37, that's a 63, 73, 77, plus 9 is an 87, 86. That would be an 86 endurance on that race. Right here, second 2 races back, we have a 22, which is a 78, 88, and 99 to 91. So let's say, for example, that was his best endurance. Let's say we did all these races, and that was his best endurance. So instead of target and ability, we would use endurance. That would be a 79, 91 for his last race endurance and best endurance. Okay? So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on just another factor you could use to handicap a race at this type of distance. All right. Until next time, if you're interested, hit the subscribe button. I will be coming out with more videos in the near future.